Chapter 21 Twins. Sonia had been one of Jane's bridesmaids and had recently moved to a place called Leigh-on-Sea, near Southend-on-Sea, Essex. I didn't know the area at all, but Dad had spent time there as a young boy, going to the cockle sheds with his aunts. He had loved it, and his enthusiasm rubbed off on me. I decided to seriously consider Leigh-on-Sea as a future home. There were a few things to consider, like the commute, local schools. The schools in the area all had a good reputation. I wanted my children to have the best education and start in life as possible, and not to miss out on their education like I had by bunking off and getting stoned. The commute to Charing Cross was lengthy and would involve trains, taxis, and my car on extreme shifts, but it was manageable. One Sunday we drove to Leigh-on-Sea to look around the area and get an idea of what type of properties were available. It was lovely, almost having a village feel to it and right on the seafront. It couldn't have been more picturesque if it had tried. On the way back home we drove through a place called Chalkwell and I noticed a Chinese restaurant. Suddenly my mind dredged up a memory. I was sitting in that restaurant with Alan. We were laughing and joking, and there was a third person with us. I couldn't see their face or remember their name. I knew that would bug me, and it did. I really wanted to remember my own to exercise my mind, but after 5 or 6 days, I gave up and phoned Alan. It was Tim, explained Alan patiently. He lived there. We went out for a meal together. As Alan said, that my memory kicked in and I remembered Tim. We chatted a bit longer about Leigh-on-Sea, and before I could stop myself, I commented on how nice it would be a place to bring up children. Me and Jane hadn't announced the pregnancy at that point. We wanted to have this first scan before saying anything. Alan knew we was trying for a baby though, and just assumed I was talking about the future. The following weekend, me and Jane returned to Leigh-on-Sea for more house hunting. Jane was still in love with the area, but I was concerned about the lack of car parking. Some houses did have drives and garages, but they did cost that bit more. While Jane was engrossed in the estate agent windows, I had another flashback. It was 1999. I was in Tenerife with Alan. We met a group of lads from Southend. It was a good memory, but I had to drag myself away from it to look at potential new homes. I looked at the range of photographs in one estate agent's window and one leapt out at me. That's nice, I breathed. Dragged Jane inside to ask the estate agents about it. The house had virtually everything we wanted. Off-street parking, good-sized rooms, a garden. It was about half a mile away from where we ideally wanted to be, but only half a mile. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things, really. It was just out of our budget, though, but I wondered if the seller would agree to lower the price. Well, said the estate agent, it had been sold, but the buyer changed his mind at the last minute. The owner is willing to drop the price for a quick sale, though. Quickly conferring, Jane agreed with me that we should go and view the property. The agent phoned the owner and we set off to see the house. It was nicer than the previous properties we'd seen, and even the door number was perfect for Jane. It was the same number as her late grandmother's door number. Fate was working with us again. The owner was a man called Nick. He seemed really nice and was very easy to get on with. He showed us around the house. It was exactly what we'd been hoping for. It looked like it was in a perfect condition. I had a good feeling about it, as did Jane, but we would wait for the surveyor's report. Nick was very easy to talk to. We talked about the house before wandering off topic and chatting about anything and everything. As we left, I said we would be in touch with the estate agent about a second viewing. Nick smiled, handed me a card with his phone number on, saying we should just call him directly to arrange the next viewing. On the drive back, Jane was flowing with design ideas of the house, imagining something like that. All those colours, patterns, was something that I couldn't really do anymore, not since the accident. Jane was certainly the boss in matters of decor and decoration. I just did what she told me. Once we got home, I called Alan. I wanted his professional advice on the house and asked if he'd come with us for a second viewing. He agreed straight away, curious to see the house that I was already in love with. I then called Nick up, asking if it was okay to bring a builder with me for a second viewing, and he agreed. We set a date and time for the following weekend, and it was sorted. In the meantime, there was something even more important happening: Jane's first scan. We still had not told friends or family about the pregnancy. We sat in the hospital waiting room, our hearts racing with excitement at the thought of seeing our baby on the ultrasound monitor. Then, after what seemed like a lifetime of waiting, our names were called. The examination room was crammed with high-tech equipment, and as Jane lay on the bed, her belly still relatively flat, the ultrasound technician, observing the monitor screen, started smiling broadly. "It looks like twins are the order of the day." I looked at Jane in shock. She had the same look on her face. We got the technician to repeat herself. We were having twins. We looked at the monitor, and there they were. Two funny little bean-shaped blobs. Our babies. Still too early to tell the gender of each child, but I did have a hankering for a boy and a girl, one of each. And to my eyes, Jane lying there, her belly covered in gel, our babies in her, she was never more beautiful. The journey home was quite strange. I thought that I'd be jumping for joy, but we were rather subdued. Twins. It'd be hard work, and I would need to get the house sorted sooner rather than later. I was going to be a father. I had to be able to provide for my family. Both sets of parents were elated, their excitement bubbling up. Jane's mum said we would definitely need a bigger house. We agreed. Mum had an inkling about her news. She'd had this conversation with my sister more than once and recognised the look in my eyes. Our friends were over the moon too, especially Alan. Ozzy was typically muttering about something along the lines of, "It's about time." I heard her that singing and talking to the babies while they were still in the womb could help them get used to voices other than their mums. So every morning I would snuggle up with Jane and sing and talk to her belly. The song I most often sang was one my nan had sung to me when I was little. I think Jane must have got tired of me singing "You Are My Sunshine." I sang it to her babies regardless. I took Alan to view the house. He loved it too. Mentioned that there was no way we'd have been able to afford such a nice period house in London, especially a detached property. Nick let us in and gave us a free range to look around. Sounded to be pottering in the garden if we needed him. Being London lads, we were shocked by the levels of trust. We'd never let someone look around our homes like that. Alan liked the house. He knows a few small problems, but said it would have been odd for a house of that age that didn't have a few issues. Arranged for a surveyor to visit the property and waited for the report. It took a few weeks, but eventually arrived. The report said there was a bit of damp, so I got a specialist to have a look. He said there wasn't a major problem, but it would cost £2,000 or £3,000 to fix. So time passed. Buying a house is not a quick process, and it was taking its time. Meanwhile, Jane's belly was expanding and our babies were growing rapidly. On the nights when I had to work late, Jane's brother Fish, Andrew, would sing to her belly for me. He even learnt all the words to "You Are My Sunshine," which was brilliant considering his Down syndrome. Because Jane was carrying twins, she had to have more scans than in a normal pregnancy. Twins and other multiple births have a high risk of disability, so we had to seriously discuss what to do if a serious disability was found. The first disability checked for was Down syndrome. Jane's brother had it, and we both agreed we would not terminate any of our babies over that. At a later scan, the gender of one of the babies was obvious. He was definitely a boy. The technician asked if we would like to know the gender of the twins, so he said yes. She scanned Jane and said, "2 boys." I was shocked, as deep down I'd wanted one of each, and I'd thought, this is what Jane was carrying. Then the technician said, "Oops, I scanned the same boy twice. You have a son and a daughter. They both look perfectly normal and healthy." Jane was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. Our smiles could not have got any bigger. I even started singing "You Are My Sunshine" to Jane's belly. I'm sure the technicians thought I was mad. I don't know what the babies must have thought.